Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about primarily marketing and the things that, how people see that and how they interpret it and how it goes. So let me tell you a little bit about marketing. So marketers are like the scientists doing research to find their target audience, and then advertisers are like the artists in that they bring a beautiful visual representation to connect with people. That the marketers have identified. And so, like if you're selling athletic clothes, then you're gonna target somebody who who's thinking about working out. So New Year's is great for that because then all these the marketers are like, oh, all these people who aren't fit are going to go to gym, so then we need to target that audience. Who is that? It's going to be a young person, probably a male. They start to narrow down, so when they advertise, it goes right to their messaging to the people who they think will participate most in their product. So now with this in mind, let's move on to the next topic that I want to incorporate into this idea is about racism in America. So suffice it to say, I'm not a racist person. I've never practiced racism, and nobody around me has ever tried to convince me that racism is the way to go. It's just not the people who I surround myself. And yet, you're a racist is the default conclusion people make when they learn that I typically support Republican politicians. So then, kind of as a side note, is that I don't consider myself a Republican because I support universal human liberties, a laissez-faire government activity, not a lot of involvement in small government, and then in capitalism. And so at times that those values can kind of conflict with the Republican Party line. So I vote for the candidates that support that individualistic mentality, regardless of party. But then, as I mentioned, if I say anything that contradicts with somebody, and then they just call me a racist. Like they don't know anything about me, or they don't really take the time to explore the thoughts on it. But that's just default, and so it's like they're shouting you into submission. Because then when you say, no, I've got a black friend, like that means nothing to them. They can just say it and then it cuts off the conversation. And so they're, shouting you into silence. And so I think something, so that's what I'm here to talk about so we can understand it. And then, keep that discussion going and then ultimately have them learn something new. And so as an example, the online mob went mad when someone took a picture of baby carriers and posted it online. The same product was targeted to two separate market groups, right? It was the same product, but they were trying to identify two different people that they wanted to sell it to. So one had a picture of a white mother, father, and child, and the other one showed a picture of a black mother and her child. So you notice the difference there? There's no father with the black one. And so then everyone was shouting, "Oh, look how racist Walmart is!" Like, not only is the company that's making this racist, but Walmart's racist because they're selling it. And then this proves America's racist. However, this advertising and marketing in no way reflects that. Like, you're just jumping to a conclusion that doesn't prove. It's a bad scientific process. And so, the marketers notice the difference in the groups for what those, culturally speaking, what different people like to do. And so then they're trying to connect with that audience to sell something, no matter what. The mother's going to take care of their child. And so the means by which the different races or cultures go about it is not racist. That's just, it describes the status of that group. And so there used to be an American culture. Like, oh, you're American, you act like an American. But now people are more prone to play identity politics, which in turn generate different approaches to dealing with different people. Because then your identity, well, how should you be treated based on, your race, ethnicity, your gender preference, your, sexual preference, all these different things. Like, that's playing identity politics. So then how are you supposed to advertise to those people or market to them without offending them? It makes things very conflated. And so the assumption that we all share American values has been destroyed. Now people want to limit our free speech so that nothing is ever said to offend anyone on their cultural peculiarities. Like, so now we're not allowed to advertise to different people based on their differences. Like, how are you supposed to advertise in a manner that gets people to respond to your product, that really touches base with the people you're trying to connect with? But then when you do that it's racist, sexist, all these other things, they start throwing these hateful words at you, but that's not, nobody at that store is thinking, like, I'm racist, so I'm going to target this audience and take money from them. Like, that is not what's happening, and it's silly to think about it in that way. That's like a joke that somebody at these organizations would behave like that to make money. It just seems it seems short-sighted and foolish to assume that that's how people are behaving. And then additionally, the BLM website used to say that they're against the nuclear family because it's a manifestation of white racism. So then, okay, taking that into consideration, then wouldn't a black person want to be, not have the father, because then that's not the nuclear family. So, like, you could say that they're almost supporting BLM activity by having the black woman not have the father or husband in the picture. So you see, it's like nonsense when people say these things about, oh, this is proof that America's racist. Well, not really, because it doesn't make any sense. There could be, the marketers are trying to do a good job of describing the product in a manner that those people will respond to it based on their culture. That's not racism. So therefore, looking for evidence that proves America racist does not follow any scientific process. Kind of, as I mentioned, it's not like a double-blind study that proves these people are racist. No, they're just giving it the product as they see that their potential customer would best identify with it. So then it would be more of a question in this particular case: why are black women more likely to be single? And do we even consider this to be a problem? Somebody shouting racism at you, say, well, hold on a second. Is this a problem for anybody? Are they more likely to be single? Because they are. And it's like, what's the problem with that? How's that racist? Unless you think it's a problem, or I don't think it's a problem. It's just the way things are, and it's just stating an item for how the world is and should be received. It's not, to say that there's hatred built into that is, you're not using the word properly, basically. And so whether it's baby carriers, income statistic, cultural deviations, or this or that, I don't think we should unscrupulously accept the conclusion that America is racist. Like, you have to take a more careful look at that, because that's it's a powerful word, and it implies a lot about the person. So you should just throw it around unknowingly, because then you're kind of ruining the effect of that word, or you're not driving the conversation in an effective, productive manner. If you're looking at it to just destroy the world and spew hate yourself, and that's the kind of language you use. But if you're trying to create something better and more productive, then you can go about it a little bit different. And so I think that every living thing, so people talk about racism, but I think that every living thing on Earth intuitively looks for other things that look like them. And that's typically a sign, like, you gotta find your herd. You gotta find, people that have the same interests as you, or other animals that have the same interests as you, so that way you're not getting attacked, and maybe if something else happens, that you can reap those rewards of working together. And so then I think that, people do the same way. It's just like built into us. We want to be around people that look like us. That's our first inclination. And so, of course, we learn as we grow up that that's useless to do amongst humans, that if somebody else can help you or be your friend, then there's no reason to not approach them, but kind of just instinctually, we kind of clump together. It's just where we feel more comfortable and more natural is talking to somebody who looks and behaves like us. But that doesn't mean we're racist. It just means that, as animals, that kind of we like to congregate in that manner, but then as, sophisticated society that we are, that we can expand ourselves and go beyond that, and then become friends with other races or other animals, but I don't think instinctually that's what humans or any animal is inclined to do. So then, in conclusion, I think that people across the world, including me, can do a better job of identifying ourselves for where we're at. Like if I'm trying to achieve something, so like let's just assume, like wage disparities. Like if I want to make more money, then where am I at? What am I doing? Where are we headed? That I want to make more money or move up this chain of command, or I want to open the store, or whatever the case may be, and then how we're going to get there. And so I think it's more powerful to indulge in that self-reflection and goal setting than uninformed name-calling and trying to destroy other people. Better to be more productive with yourself and be destructive with other people. So let's set the example for everyone else that we know that there's room for individual improvement, and that we'll spend more time looking to make ourselves better by producing the good within ourselves that we wish the rest of the world would have. So it's kind of, I just wanted to say those things. Marketing, how that ties in, people misconstrue that potentially as racism, and then racism in America. There's a lot of hatred and people talking about things like that, but I don't think it's a good way of analysis and analyzing it with, separating the different peoples and the difference between those groups of people, and then to try to boil it all down to wage, and then that's racism. We'll say, well, these two groups are totally different scenarios, but America is the land of the free, home of the brave, and you can overcome things like that. You can raise yourself out of dirt and become, a politician or a doctor or, just a person who has enough money to provide for their family and live a happy life. And so, when you start throwing counterproductive words like racism, sexist, misogynist, then you're being destructive and not productive. And that's what I want more of us to do through kind of self-reflection and goal setting. All right, that's all I got for today. Thanks.